everyone. I'm Sherry Schmaus, the Alcohol and Drug Control Officer for the Montana Army National Guard. I'm a civilian contractor for DizTech. I'm here to train you today the resilient skill of put it in perspective. Now, I don't need to tell you guys that we're going through a lot of stress in our nation right now, but what I do need to do is teach you how to put things in perspective in the middle of this epidemic or pandemic. The MRT skill that I've chosen today is put it in perspective. Now, it's only one of the 14 skills of resiliency that we train our soldiers in order to be more resilient. They've chosen the binoculars as the icon for this training. Put it in perspective is designed to build optimism. The goal of put it in perspective is to lower your anxiety level enough temporarily for you to accurately assess a situation and deal with it. Catastrophizing is when you waste critical energy and time ruminating about the irrational worst-case outcomes, and it prevents you from purposeful action. Another way of looking at put it in perspective is stop your stinking thinking. Now, there's different styles of catastrophizing. The first one is downward spiral or increased negative thoughts. We're going to do a demonstration on that a little bit later. Scattershot or disconnected negative thoughts, where your thoughts are all over the place but have nothing to do with each other. Or circling, which is you think about bad thoughts and they keep going around and around in your head. Same bad thoughts. Catastrophizing, we know, creates high levels of anxiety. It decreases our focus and it increases helplessness. It prevents us from taking purposeful action. Now, catastrophizing is not the same as identifying potential negative outcomes and contingency plans. Contingency plans in themselves are productive. Catastrophizing is counterproductive. Triggers of catastrophic thinking are one, when things are unclear. We know our brain fills in the blanks. When something you value very highly is at stake, like our family or our job. When you're running down or depleted, which most of us are about now, maybe our inner toddler comes out. You already fear the situation, previously bad experiences possibly. It's your first time doing something like telework. Put it into perspective. The goal, again, is to lower your anxiety temporarily so you can assess the situation and deal with it. The goal is not to pretend like there's nothing wrong and everything's well, and to deny the real problem or take away the anxiety completely. There's only 5 steps to put it in perspective. The first one is to describe that activating event, capture worst-case thoughts, generate the best-case thoughts, identify the most likely outcomes, and then develop a plan for those most likely outcomes. Put it in perspective during this coronavirus 2020. Describe the activating event. You are sent home to telework for the first time in your career. You now have to learn tons of new applications, time management, and communication skills. You have to rely on willpower to overcome temptation of food and family, and you must self-motivate to continue to exercise and take care of your physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, and social health. All this combined with the need to increase your immune system so you don't get sick. Not just the coronavirus, but any illness right now that would send you to the hospital is not a good thing with the hospitals being full. We're going to capture the worst case scenario or thoughts. I started thinking, oh my gosh, I will not be able to see my family. How long? Like I wanted to see them for Easter. I will gain 20 pounds. I'm going to lose money on the stock market. I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to get divorced. I'm going to become homeless. I'm going to catch the coronavirus. And eventually, I won't have health care coverage. I'm going to die from the coronavirus and leave my family with all the accrued debt. Now, once we captured those worst case thoughts, we keep asking ourselves, and then what? And then what? And then what? So we can get it all off of our chest. Once we've done that, we need to evaluate our mood, our focus, and our energy. As you would probably agree, my mood isn't really super great when I'm thinking so negative. My focus is on the negative and my energy is low. Now we're going to talk about the ridiculous best case thoughts I could have. I'm going to take a break from family and establish boundaries. I'm going to have more time to exercise and I might lose 20 pounds. I'm going to get a raise or a promotion at work for working so hard on all of these risk reduction trainings. I'm going to seek counseling and prioritize my marriage so my relationship will be better than ever. In fact, we're going to recommit our vows. I'm going to invest right now when the stock market's low, and I'm going to become a millionaire. So after generating those best case thoughts, don't stop until you run out of all the ideas, no matter how ridiculous they are. Now rate your mood, your focus, and your energy. Well, you can see my mood's a lot better, right? I'm going to be a millionaire. My focus is on the future, and my energy level is super high. But now the challenge comes to identify the most likely outcomes. What probably will happen? Well, probably I'll have time away from family, and it's going to make everyone appreciated. I'm probably going to maintain my weight in this difficult time, and that will be considered success. I'm going to keep my current job. There's just going to be a few changes, like these telework videos. I'm going to remain married and have time to plan retirement. I'm going to invest in the stock market, and I might make some money. I'm going to focus on relationships right now and be flexible and forgiving. Now, once you identify those most likely outcomes, focus on your emotions, behaviors of other people. If any of your thoughts are near the top of the worst case or best case columns are most likely to happen, make sure you include them in the most likely column. Rate your mood. Now that I've thought about things in a more real way, what might actually happen, my mood's good. My focus is on myself and what can I do to make these things happen, and my energy level's pretty good. I'm going to develop a plan for dealing with the most likely outcomes. I will obey the stay-at-home rules and reach out to my family more than usual, actually, but just in different platforms. I'm going to learn Facebook Messenger, FaceTime, Snapchat, YouTube, Zoom, and Teams are all the things that I've learned since I've been at home teleworking. I'm going to get creative with my home workouts. They're going to be beneficial for my mind and my body because I'm switching it up. I'm going to prioritize things that keep me and my family well, like the triad of wellness, exercise and sleep, nutrition. I'm going to learn about investing. I've never really invested too much before, and now is a really good time to learn about it. I'm going to prioritize making retirement plans with my husband. Last step, develop a plan of action for dealing with the most likely outcomes, which we just did, and if necessary, briefly develop a plan for preventing the worst, increasing best briefly. Now, the key principles: catastrophizing depletes our energy, as we talked about before, and it stops problem solving, and it generates unhelpful anxiety. Order does matter. We need to get everything off of our chest about worst case scenarios first, and then we need to generate those ridiculous best case scenarios before we can actually identify what the most likely outcomes will be. Develop a plan to focus on those most likely outcomes, and then optimistically think about our primary target of put it in perspective is optimism. So what did you learn through this exercise? Well, I hope you learned that you can put things in perspective even during these difficult times in our nation. You can choose whether you want to be fearful, whether you want to learn during this time, or where you actually want to grow. Which column was the most difficult to create? For me, the most difficult one to create, I guess maybe the best case scenario is the most difficult for me to create in the middle of this unsure time. What situations will put it in perspective be most helpful with? Well, it's when you're overthinking. So stop your stinking thinking. How can put it in perspective make you a better soldier, family member, or DA civilian? Again, we get to choose right now what we're going to do, and I hope you choose learning and growth. How can put it in perspective help soldiers, family members, and DA civilians be more effective at dealing with stress? Well, again, if we think about it ahead of time and we come up with the most likely outcomes, our stress level will be reduced. And in fact, stress reduction is the single most beneficial thing you can do to maintain a good immune system. Resilience is practice. We're not born with it. Resilience is more about the ability to recharge than the ability to endure. Resilience is trying really, really hard, rest and recover, and repeat. Just a little quote I've seen recently that might help us put things in perspective as you're bummed out for being home on quarantine and this social distancing thing. For those of us feeling a bit stir crazy right now, Annie Frank and 7 other people hid in a 450 square foot attic for 761 days, quietly trying to remain undiscovered to stay alive. We can all do our part to keep everyone safe and spend a few weeks at home. Again, who do you choose to be during this epidemic? Fear, learning, or growth? Again, I hope you choose learning and growth. We're going to check on our learning here. Again, put it in perspective, is a method to stop catastrophic thinking and deal with the most likely outcomes. When do you use it? When you're making a mountain out of a molehill, or when you're making Himalayan out of a mountain. How do you use it? Again, you describe the activating events, capture the worst case scenarios, generate the best ridiculous case scenarios, come up with the most likely outcome, and then come up with a plan. You think quarantining will bring me down? I've been in the military. I can hurry up and wait indefinitely. We're in stressful times. This is what we've all been training for. We all need to be all we can be. Have a wonderful day.